Well, hello everyone and welcome to RaceWeek, the 17th iteration of the midweek recap here on RaceWeek. Now, before we go into the video where we will preview the 2020 Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, which takes place at the Imola circuit this weekend. Firstly, as always, make sure you check out the RaceWeek website where there will be articles after each, where there will be brief articles after each on-track session, as well as there will be talks about many other stories as well. So make sure you check that out. There's more stuff coming to the website soon, which is currently in the works and should be there soon. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Now, I mentioned on Sunday that I was having issues with the Twitter account. The Twitter account should be back up and running running tomorrow, I'd say, because obviously to make it short, what happened was Twitter's algorithm has locked the account, suspecting it of being a robot, and I don't have any means of reactivating it here right now. But I will be able to reactivate it tomorrow. And also, we have a Facebook page that is coming soon, that is up and running and will be linked on all these social media platforms soon. So, without further ado, let's go in to the news for this weekend. So, the big news for this week, going into the weekend, is Pierre Gasly. He has been confirmed for AlphaTauri in 2021 and will be remaining with the team. Now, this is very interesting because this now means that realistically Red Bull's choices, if Red Bull's only choice from their program now is Alex Albon or Danny Kvyat, and there's no way they're going to go for Danny Kvyat, and it's either Alex Albon, so really it's either now for Red Bull, it's either Alex Albon or someone outside of the program, such as a Hülkenberg or a Perez, which is actually now starting to look like a more realistic possibility. Albon must improve if he is to defend that seat. But Pierre Gasly will get another year. It's very interesting, I think, with him, because surely if a Hülkenberg or a Perez goes into that seat, then that will close all opportunities for him until, for example, maybe Verstappen leaves. So I'm getting the feeling that Gasly's future in F1 in the long term is not going to be with Red Bull. That as soon as the opportunity comes, possibly at the end of 2021, he will want a way out of Red Bull or AlphaTauri. And the second bit of news is about the Portimao circuit. It has been well received by fans, and there's many people stating that it should have a regular place on the calendar. And I kind of agree with that because it produced good racing, and I think it would, if there's going to be a 23rd race, Portimao would be a logical place to hold it. And news from America. In IndyCar, Scott Dixon is now a 6-time IndyCar champion. He finished in third with his championship rival finishing in first, Joseph Newgarden finishing in first. But third place was enough for Scott Dixon to clinch the title. For those who have not seen at least highlights of the IndyCar race, I recommend you do. It was quite a mad race, to say the least. In fact, so mad that the safety car ran out of fuel because there had been so many, it had been needed so much. But Scott Dixon ended up, and he has proven himself to be one of, in my opinion, the best driver never to make Formula 1. He deserves it, and he is a true great of motorsport, is Scott Dixon. And it wasn't as easy for him as it looked like it was going to be at the start of the season. But in the end, he had built up enough of a gap to clinch the title. And then this weekend we also saw the British Touring Car. Past weekend we also saw the British Touring Car Championship, the penultimate weekend of the season, which saw a great weekend for Colin Turkington, bouncing back after a difficult past few races with probably his best weekend of the season, taking 2 wins and a podium. And he now has taken back the lead of the drivers' standings. He leads the standings by 9 points back to second place Ash Sutton, it going into the finale at the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. Dan Camish is 16 points behind Sutton in third. Then you have Tom Ingram, who's 9 points behind that in fourth, and Rory Butcher, who is 29 points behind Ingram. Realistically, it's only the top 4 that can win the title. But a lot can change, so it's not going to be a certain title for Turkington, as some people might say, because it's the British Touring Car Championship, and in the British Touring Car Championship, anything can and will happen. It's going to be an interesting season finale weekend. And then you have the British Formula 4 Championship, which took place at the weekend, and that now goes into the season finale. The season finale with an epic title fight between Zach O'Sullivan and Luke Browning, who are now level on points. Zach O'Sullivan took 2 race victories and a second place. 2 race victories in the second and third race, and got a second place in the first race. Luke Brown, which he actually lost in the first race, he actually lost a win because of a penalty to Luke Browning, who won the first race and then backed up with a fourth and a second. This means that the pair of them are now level on points going into the season finale at the Brands Hatch Indy, and it's set to be a fascinating finish to this, what has been an exciting Formula 4 season. I mean, it looked midway through the season that Luke Browning had it in the bag, but he's since Knock Hill, he's kind of dropped off a bit, and Zach O'Sullivan has taken points back out of him. In third place in the standings is currently Casper Stevenson, the final driver that has a mathematical chance of winning the title. He still is mathematically in contention, but it's only really a mathematical chance that he has. But we did say that about Terry Pourchaire in Formula 3, so you can't rule him out. Then in fourth place you have James Headley, and then from him down, they can no longer win the title. They are not in the title contention because they don't have enough points. You have James Headley in fourth, Alex Connor in fifth, Abby Pulling in sixth, Roman Belinsky in seventh, Christian Mansell in eighth, Roberto Faria in ninth, who has not raced since Knock Hill, with Frederick Lubin rounding out the top 10. And so it's going to be quite an interesting finale at Brands Hatch. Big question is, who is going to be victorious in what is set to be an interesting finale? And now we have talked about the news. Now it's time to go into the analysis of some of last weekend's events at Portimao. So, kicking things off with that practice incident. I was going to do a video on this straight after, but that never happened, so I'm going to be doing it here. But this is not either driver's finest moment, and I personally think that both drivers were equally to blame for this incident, and it's not really surprising that there was no penalty. As you can see, you have Max Verstappen. He gets alongside Lance Stroll and he's expecting Stroll to give that up, but Stroll's on a lap himself and he has DRS, and so at this point Verstappen should be thinking, well, the lap's gone anyway. Even if I get past, I'm going to be not on the ideal line, which is going to ruin my lap. Whereas Stroll should be looking to the inside on turn-in. But neither of them did either of those. And Stroll didn't, who expected him to, most probably expected him to back off. And Verstappen, who would not give up. The two of them coming together resulted in the inevitable collision, which sent Stroll into the gravel. And this is it from the track angle. This angle that really looks like Stroll should have seen Verstappen. Because you can see he turns in and the pair make contact, which sends Stroll into the gravel. And now let's have a look at Carlos Sainz's first lap. As to why he was so good. And the thing that seemed to be so good about what happened with Carlos Sainz was how good he was on traction. As you can see at this point, Sainz is quite a way behind Verstappen. But he's able to switch back and he found traction that Verstappen didn't and took the position. And it was a similar situation with Valtteri Bottas. He got onto the right line and found traction where, or this was with Lewis Hamilton more like, he found traction where Hamilton did not, and simply was able to get the drive off the corners and get past. It seems that, and the trend was kind of seen with Lando Norris, and it seems that McLaren seemed to have a good car on acceleration in the wet. And then it was a similar story when he passed Valtteri Bottas. He switched back to the inside, got the traction, and was able to take the place. Switchbacking seemed to be something that you could easily do around this circuit. And this circuit was praised for the car's ability to race. Even cars that struggle to follow each other, there was a possibility. The reason why the cars could race so well, as pointed out in some other videos, was it allowed the possibility for different lines. Which meant the drivers could drive a fast line out of the dirty air of the car in front. And could not just that, they could perform switchback manoeuvres as well, which allowed for some good racing. And as I said, I think Portimao is definitely worthy of a regular place on the Formula 1 calendar. So that is the analysis. Now that is all talk about last weekend. Now it's time to talk about the weekend in hand as we preview the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix at Imola. The Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Endino Ferrari winds its way around the houses, hotels and restaurants in a rural area near the Italian town of Imola, which is 25 miles from the city of Bologna. Having hosted its first Formula 1 race in 1980, this 4.909km circuit has been much missed by Formula 1 fans since it last hosted a race in 2006, as the circuit contains many famous and thrilling corners, such as the Tamburello chicane, the Acqua Minerale complex, and the downhill Ravazza corner. Here is a video lap around this famous circuit. So, taking you on a lap of this circuit on the main straight, which is the only DRS zone of the circuit, into the heaviest braking zone of the circuit, Tamburello, which is a medium to high speed chicane, which will probably see most of the overtaking on Sunday. Now in towards the fast chicane at Villeneuve, where the line is very important, otherwise you'll lose a lot of time. Now up towards Tosa, where you have to really hug the inside line, otherwise you're going to run out wide and lose a bit of time. Up towards Piratella, which is a high-speed left-hander, where the line is really important and the curb is brutal on the exit, which could spit you out off into the wall. Then into the most thrilling corner on the circuit, the double right of Acqua Minerale, where you have to get the line really right and it's going to be thrilling in qualifying. Now up towards the Variante Alta chicane, which clipping the curb is vital, ensures that you turn as little as possible. Now down the hill up towards Ravazza corner, which is downhill, so the road really falls away. It's a double left-hander, these two corners, and in the first part you can easily run wide if the road falls away, and the exit of the second part is vital. as if you make a mistake, you lose a lot of time on the straight. But that is a lap around this thrilling circuit. That wasn't meant to happen. But as you saw on the screen there, now it's time to do a team-by-team review ahead of this weekend's Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. It can be said they've shown some improvements in race trim, and this circuit could actually suit them a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see how Williams do this weekend. But this circuit could actually suit them. Haas are really struggling to understand their car. Now Romain Grosjean's leaving the team, he's not afraid to publicise the weakness of the car, which is an overheating rear suspension, and that could be potentially part of the reason for their tyre issues as well. So I think this is probably going to be a bit more of a tricky weekend for them. The car seems to be improving for Alfa Romeo a lot recently. They seem to be a lot better in race trim than they have been in recent races, and they've been kind of on the outskirts of the points. They've kind of pulled away a little bit from the likes of Haas and Williams. So it'll be interesting to see where they go on their third home race of the season. AlphaTauri could have a little bit of an advantage over some of their rivals because they tested their car on this circuit before the season got underway to test their COVID protocols. So they've already got experience of this car around this circuit, which could give them an advantage. And like normal, their car should work well around here. So, and obviously they are on a bit of a roll after Pierre Gasly scored, going in here with a bit of momentum after Pierre Gasly's points scoring finish. So it'll be interesting to see where Alfa Romeo are, but I'm expecting another points finish for Pierre Gasly this weekend. Whilst they still have a way to go, they have been improving a bit recently, particularly on Charles Leclerc's side of the garage. But the thing that could cost them a little bit is the long straight. They could lose quite a bit of time, but they could make up for that in the middle and final sector. But I could see Charles Leclerc repeating his qualifying heroics from the previous races. And a team that will be hoping for a better weekend than last is Renault, after a tough weekend after a good strong form of results. But this track should suit them a lot more. It's got a lot more straights, which obviously the Renault is good in. So this could be a good weekend for them, and could see them back to being where they were before the Eiffel Grand Prix. Next up, we talk about McLaren after a slightly disappointing race, which kind of showed they did not have great race pace, and not really sure what to expect from them this weekend. But I wouldn't be surprised if we saw if their pace this weekend was similar to what it was in Portugal. Considering that the Mercedes I'm expecting to go well round here, the Racing Point should be at home around the high downforce parts of the circuit and should work well, particularly in the middle sector. So I think Racing Point will have a good weekend. A big question I have is how close are Red Bull going to be to Mercedes? I mean, on some tracks they have, with corners in this configuration, they have struggled, such as Hungary. But in other tracks, such as Silverstone, they have gone well. But Red Bull are bringing the gap down to Mercedes, so I'm kind of expecting similar to Portugal for Red Bull. But it can be said Mercedes go into this weekend as favourites. I think their car will be incredible to watch around this circuit. It will be really at home in the middle part of the lap. And I can see, particularly in qualifying, there being quite an extraordinary lap from especially Lewis Hamilton. Mercedes go into this weekend as favourites. Lewis can't quite win the championship this weekend, but he has a good chance of lining himself up to do so in Turkey. In 5th place, we have a popular new track. As I said before, this track was well received by fans and drivers alike. And as I said, I think it is a worthy place to host a race regularly going forward. After that, they finally got their chance to host a Formula 1 race, and they hosted. It wasn't a thriller, but it showed what it can produce with some great, because it hosted some great racing. In 4th place, we have Gasly's stunner. What a drive from Pierre Gasly, making his way and making a strategy really work to finish in a very solid 5th place, which is really good for this car. And of course, Gasly had every right to be proud of that. In 3rd place, we have that incident. Stroll and Verstappen colliding in practice. A very rare occurrence that you see an incident like this happen in practice. And sometimes it takes a little bit of brain fade for this to happen, but it was one of the most memorable moments of the weekend. In 2nd place, we have that opening couple of laps. I mean, what happened? So much action. You had Carlos Sainz making his way to the lead, which we don't know how that was even possible on a slightly damp surface. You had Kimi Raikkonen. What a start! In case you're wondering why that's not a moment of its own, it's basically included in this. You had drama, Verstappen and Perez coming together. You had side 3 wide on the main straight. It was brilliant. Of course, in first place, we had Lewis Hamilton breaking the world record for the most victories in Formula 1 history. And he is truly worthy of this record. 92 race wins, and with more likely to follow. Well done, Lewis Hamilton. He's now got the most wins in Formula 1 history. A record that Michael Schumacher set and we thought would never be broken. So, that is it from the midweek recap. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at RaceWeek Show. As I said, I'm hoping to get this account back up and running tomorrow. And make sure you give the site a visit at raceweekblog.com where for news and blog posts. And make sure you leave a like and subscribe for more RaceWeek video content. And of course, stay tuned for the RaceWeek Facebook page. Thank you very much for watching this RaceWeek midweek show. And we'll see you with regards to the shows. We will see you on Saturday. Obviously, there's going to be no Friday recap because there isn't going to be a Friday to recap. But on Saturday, it'll be the qualifying day recap, and then on Sunday it'll be the race review. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on Saturday. Goodbye.